Kog'Maw has been insanely strong because the tank changes, and I was curious to see when we were going to get to see it. Looks like we'll get it now for V5.
They will get the Kog'Maw, but will they get the Lulu? That's the question. You feel like the Nami's got to be locked in here. It's just too damn good. Synergizes too damn well with the Lucian and his passive. The Gwen being locked in early here for Rich in that top side. Exactly what we'll be seeing. And they've got the Viego now for TT. So Beishuan on something that he's comfortable on. And again, gives us that resets and one of the most popular junglers on the patch as of the moment.
The thing is, though, now for V5, you have to take the Lulu or else get bans away in the next rotation. So this actually opens up Beishuan to ban away things like the Lee Sin, any of these jungle picks that might be a bit of an issue for him coming in onto this patch. So I think it'll open up a little bit of safety here for at least Beishuan in these early stages against Karsa. And especially if you're able to take something like the Swain, maybe for UCal in this mid. Oh, sorry, Swain's banned away, but something a little bit easier for UCal in this mid lane, set up for a strong mid jungle. You can actually look to maybe punish Dream as he starts off with his first game in the LP.
Yeah, well, I was going to say we might see things like the Lee Sin banned away, possibly even something like the Diana, if they really feel like they can kind of go... sorry, not the Diana. Yeah, sorry, it's going to be the Diana, because they don't want to get that maybe the AD solo laner, but... we'll wait to see now what V5 want to go for. They might try and give Rich something in that top side, or maybe they want to try and maybe ban away again something on UCal to maybe give Dream a little bit of an extra hand as V5 take their time with this one. They're going to ban away the Akali. And honestly, I like that ban away as well. Again, something that has done very well into things like the Gwen in the past and can still do so in the present.
Yeah, now I imagine we're going to see, okay, it's going to be the Nocturne. Yeah, I think the AD ban is towards the junglers is probably best because you don't really want to go like heavy AP on your top side with both the Gwen AP, then your Diana AP, Kog'Maw doing a lot of mixed damage, and then even if you got the AD mid laner, it doesn't work out. But looks like we're just going to go with the old Poppy. So Karsa's still going towards this tank jungler. I wasn't sure if we'd get the Sejuani, but I think the Poppy works out super well because right now you just want to try and protect the Kog'Maw, right? So opting to stop these dashes coming through from the Lucian and also this Viego, going to buy a lot of space for Photic on the backline.
Going to be giving him a lot of space, a lot of time. And again, this is the thing with the durability patches kind of changing up people to kind of give them more health, more resistances. Kind of set up Kog'Maw to be that big, massive carry. We will see the Kennen being locked in here for Xiaoshang as a pseudo counter or a light counter into the Gwen. And we'll have to see where they want to try and put that mid lane.
Yeah, I don't like the TF here because it actually opens up for a Galio pick for Dream, which could work out super well because especially as we said, like protecting the Kog'Maw, trying to play keep away off your back line, that Galio will do wonders to provide the AP shield that you need for the Kennen damage. It just works out super well. So yeah, they end up going for it and you can already see like Dream is like perfect. Let's just go for this. More protection and exactly what we need against TT.
Well, V5 got themselves one more pick, and they are going to go for that Galahil. So this is old school, Season 4, Season 3, protect the Kog'Maw. Get him as many resources as possible. You do have a little bit of extra resources going over to the Gwen. You'll be able to have that split push pressure and, of course, that 1v1. But this is all about getting Photic as safe as possible and as many items as possible.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they're going to be looking to do here, right? I mean, the ability for the Kog'Maw to actually build like super tanky is kind of insane on this patch because of the durability update. It's really hard to push him out of lane, so you can end up going for things like the Randuins and stuff in the later portion of the game where you just want to try and keep yourself as tanky as possible. Oftentimes we end up seeing stuff like the Runaan's Hurricane, Blade of the Rune King, Guinsoo's into like Titanic Hydra and stuff like this. Like, it ends up being so damn hard to actually deal with this Kog'Maw on the backline.
Yeah, and again, it kind of follows the same logic, if you will, of something like the Ezreal in terms of his build path. He doesn't need a mythic. It's very much seen as a luxury item at the end of the game, not something you tend to go towards first. You tend to see the Guinsoo's and then, of course, the Runaan's Hurricane. And then, as you say, tankier items if you so choose or whatever you need because your W and your Q, shredding that armor and magic resistance and, of course, giving you that percentage health damage is just absolutely massive for this carry. But he is very much a carry that needs to plant his feet and just go to town on the other side. But if you can get this bot lane going here for TT, if you can move with this Lucian Nami, get some early advantages, get some, you know, kind of big fights or odd-numbered skirmishes going for yourself, this becomes an awful lot harder for V5 to stabilize.
Yeah, and I think that's the big thing here is that you need to try and find these early skirmishes to stick to TT. Because if you not, you end up having this Twist of Fate, they'll end up falling off. The Kennen won't win out in the side lane against the Gwen after a little while. Like, you are very much in on, hey, mid-game or bust for TT. And I mean, it's a brave call for TT as well coming in, because as we said, like, this wasn't a team that was particularly strong in spring, and now they're going up against V5, and we'll have to see if they can try and find their magic back for Summer.
Speaking of magic, what the hell was that? I was not expecting to see Pengu just kind of arriving on Dragonback to see if he was... he's just curious of the match, that's all. He wants to watch it. Such a massive lineup here for V5. And we're going to jump onto the Rift. It's going to be Ghost for Rich in that top side, able to chase down anyone. And again, like, you know, Rich is another one of those carries on one of those carries on Gwen that if they get ahead, if they can find themselves on the back side, it will be very difficult for TT to get anything done. But for the moment, TT are just putting down vision, recognizing where they can go for stuff. But Karsa was 100% ready for this, and he's going to be able to give Dream... No, he actually won't. They're going to try and give it over to Rich. Never mind. No one's going to get it. It's just going to... Why did he wait? What the hell? Why did he wait for that?
To, you know, just tease his teammates, you know? Just,
you can take it. You want that early level 2? No. Not going to happen.
The thing that I want to highlight here, though, is actually the cull that's picked up from UCAL in the mid lane. So, like, the way Twist of Fate usually works is you take the Corrupting Potion, and the whole idea is that, oh, when I reset at like 4.5, 5 minutes, I'll be able to get a full Corrupting stack. I then move back into mid lane. I hyper, very quickly clear the wave, using my minion dematerialize as the back line, to then look for level 6 instantly at 6 minutes, and then go and make a play to side lanes. You won't be able to do that with the cull in this case, and I think UCAL has kind of correctly, to a certain extent, identified that, hey, look, if I'm going to try and make this play happen, Dream is just going to be able to match me. So instead, going with the cull and kind of going, okay, maybe I can look to just outpace Dream on items. That way, maybe I can get control over this mid lane and then try and play off into side lane. So I'm going to be really interested to see how UCAL actually plays this matchup, and a very different opening start than we traditionally see from the Twisted Fate.
See already a bit of power given over to the V5 bot lane as Photic and PP God just kind of keep themselves at arm's length. You can see the extra range that the W does lend itself to the Kog'Maw, giving you an awful lot more trading ability, especially in those early levels. But as those levels start to get picked up, as we start to get later and later into this laning phase, that's when the Lucian Nami should be able to do a lot more in this lane. But top lane, we are seeing the Kennen just trying to do their best at dealing with them. No real mana here on Rich, so he wants to try and get this crash so he can get out, get himself back onto the map.
Yeah, the only thing is there is a wave here, so unfortunately won't be able to get this wave crash, so we'll have to reset and still TP back in. Would have liked to have got a fully, but Xiaoshang actually doing a nice job to just keep that in check. And again, like, because you got this Kennen, it does bully in the early stages, but once you get to kind of level 12, 13, 14, Rich will take over in this side lane, so Xiaoshang definitely wants to try and bully this matchup early, and then try and play again towards team fights. Look for picks with UCAL. Try and punish Rich, especially in these positions if he's overextended and you're post level 6.
Well, we'll see what they're able to kind of work with here on the side of TT. They have got some decent trade patterns there, as Photic, he's just so safe. And honestly, this is, you know, why we see the Lulu and the Kog'Maw almost exclusively together. The harassment, the safety, and just the shielding you're able to get for the Kog'Maw just makes it so much harder for it to shut him down.
Yeah, especially when you are able to use the W to get that extended range. It means you can outrange the Lucian. And when there's a big wave like this, Photic and PP God just know they're safe to go for it, but...
Oh, Cleanse has been burned straight away, but Puff not taking the most favorable of trades. It will be a trade back of the Cleanse, as we do see Photic getting ignited and immediately wants to get rid of it. Xiaoshang going to have a little bit of help here from Beishuan, but already early skirmishing in the spot side. Both teams on the edge of winning or losing in terms of how the trade's going to be going for them.
Yeah, Puff does need to back away though, because you still have to heal for PP God in that bot lane. So still there's Summoner Spell's advantage for V5, and now it means that you're going to start losing more CS underneath this tower. You can already look at like a 33 CS 220 in this bottom lane. Photic and PP God doing a really nice job of just bullying out Puff and Southwood.
So Dagda, I had a quick look at the runes, the keystones for the side of V5. That's a Dark Harvest Poppy. Yeah, I don't think that... Is that a thing? I thought it would have been Predator.
No, it's usually Predator.
Yeah, I think that's a mistake.
Yeah. So I think the thing is, like, you can start to proc it, like, in early skirmishes and stuff like that. It will give you a little bit more damage for the later portion of the game, but I just don't think you really need more late game damage from the Poppy. And I think if you had... Yeah, I'm not sure, because I don't think you really want Predator
I think it's just straight up
in this game. Maybe. But, like, I'm trying to think, like, because will you get much use out of the Predator in this game? Not really, right? Like, any lane that you want to gank is going to be mid lane, and you already have the Predator for Dream there. And Dream is realistically going to be your main engage tool. And from the perspective of, like, oh, well, late game Karsa is literally just going to stick on Photic and make sure that he's going to be safe. Maybe having that little bit of extra damage could help. I just don't know what else you would take. Like, I think we've seen Phase Rush popping in the past, but again, that's not going to be too valuable here. So I'm actually not sure. I think if you're not going to go for Predator, maybe it could be worth. But I think Conqueror probably would still be better just from a, hey, I can actually deal damage over a consistent portion of time.
Yeah, we'll see how it works out for them, of course. You know, plenty of things that I am not privy to in scrims, and of course, you know, the inner workings of some of the pro players, as we see now on this bot side. Was pushed in here by Photic, but without his Lulu, an awful lot less threatening in this bot side, as TT just going to try and pick this one up. V5 did pick themselves up the first dragon of the game, so they've got that one going for themselves at the moment. And with level 6 is now being picked up here by Dream and UCAL, we do have the Heroes entrance and, of course, the Destiny starting to come out for these two teams. So we might see some early skirmishes coming out. Both mid laners having the opportunity to either influence the lane or follow up if another mid laner tries to follow.
Yeah, I think this would have been your best moment here for UCAL if he was able to go to the bot side. But as we said, right, like, he actually doesn't have a huge amount of damage or anything picked up at the moment because he'd gone for that early cull, so instead goes to the reset. But the thing is, like, Photic and PP God are very heavily trying to push in the spot side to get these turret plates, get the waves reset. So, I mean, if you're ever going to try and find a moment to punish bot side, it's going to be when they're overextended like this.
It's been a relatively early start to the game. Not too surprising given the junglers we have. But with level 6s now for Karsa and, of course, for Beishuan, you've access to the Keeper's Verdict and the Heartbreaker, respectfully, means that we might see some extra moves coming in now in the next few minutes. But both teams relatively happy with the game state. Bit of a CS lead in top side, not going to be too much to write home about, and of course pretty much equal across the board. So I haven't seen too much happening just yet, but with the W and the help picks now onto Photic, you can see him just how confident he is and how much damage can come down so quickly.
Yeah, all summoner spells back up for Puff and set windows, so they are desperately trying to see if they can make plays happen. Ooh, there you go. So Cleanse burnt by Photic, and that's actually pretty key because you're looking at this big wave being pushed in, the opportunity to rotate up towards Rift Herald as well. Like, TT can actually use these summoner spells being burnt to set up for these big fights.
Where do you want to see TT look towards? You talked about how, like, UCAL had an opportunity in mid lane, but didn't really get the wave in a position where he could roam around. Where do you want to see TT make an advantage for themselves now that they have access to so many different ultimates and advantages? I
mean, you got the push here for UCAL in the mid lane. You want to try and get him out to move move up towards his top side, pick off Rich, because realistically, you want to try and get Rift Herald, right? This is a team that... Yeah.
Oh, instantly flash! Gold card! They didn't give V5 or Rich an instant to react, and that is a fantastic gank up in the top lane.
And that's exactly what I was just in the middle of saying, right? You want to try and work for the Rift Herald. You already have Southwind up here. Puff is just going to cull the wave in the bot side to make sure that he's going to stay safe. And now you've got the numbers advantage to turn over towards this Rift Herald. Really well orchestrated by TT.
Yeah, Karsa and Dream are in the vicinity, and you still have full access to all your ultimates. There's going to be the tidal wave coming out. Karsa, though, taking a lot of damage. The Heartbreaker to try and break some of that distance. And V5 taking very odd skirmishes right now. And you can see with the culling coming out on top of PP God, he needs Kog'Maw to save him out right now. And this is honestly very weirdly scrappy right now from the side of V5. They're not really getting the skirmishes they want.
No, I mean, it's been a bit weird from the get-go here from V5, right? Like, you can see Photic and PP God almost, like, freezing the wave on themselves in this bot side about 3 minutes ago, where Puff and Setwind got a ton of that CS back in their favor. Karsa was in a position almost to try and help out, but PP got to just reset, so they don't get that help. Now they're going for a play on the top side, where Karsa's in a weird position here, like, going for, I think, the stun, but doesn't hit it, but you don't even, like, have people in position here to try and help you. Like, this is just a 2v2 with people en route that you don't technically win either, so very weird decision making from V5.
And I mean, this is kind of what we saw in the playoffs, really, of V5. Again, it's only one particular play, but it was this disjointed, not really on the same page, kind of thinking they had advantages or had information that they just straight up didn't have. And it was very much their downfall versus top esports during the spring playoffs. So not great to see them happening this so far, but TT, they're delighted because, again, they're getting the kill down onto the Viego, one of the key people they wanted on, and they're keeping people like the Gwen down.
And especially if they can start to now use this fact that they've got these advantages to move in towards, like, bot side, for example, right? Because UCAL has just popped his cull, so he's going to sell that one off, get his full Everfrost, and this is super nice. I will say he does need boots. I thought we were going to see the
Seal, mate. Get
Ionian
that
Boots
rapid
of
fire
Lucidity
as
picked
quick
up.
as possible. As quick as possible.
Yeah, but so it means that we won't have his ultimate up as often as you'd like and that kind of stuff, which does make it a little bit tough the top side.
Oh, we're going to see Rich fully engaged. The needlework is doing just that, as we can see Rich now underneath the tower. But you can see the first tower hit, not so bad. The second tends to hurt a lot more.
Yeah, and he will end up backing away. No summoner spell is on Xiaoshang, so was just able to walk himself out of that, but will... Well, I was about to say might lose out on this wave, but actually just going to stick around to pick that one up. But now you got to see TT pushing down this Rift Town in the mid lane. You got Karsa in waiting the wings as well. But this should just be a nice charge, giving some gold back over towards UCAL.
Yep, 160 gold, 320 in total, given over between UCAL and Beishuan. They start up the dragon now as well. But Photic and PPGod are saying, look, maybe we can fight for this. We've got 4 people here. There is no TP available for the Gwen. There's the tidal wave coming out, as it's going to force a flash away from Dream. He wasn't really in a position. The Keeper's Verdict. Southwind is isolated, but again, they don't quite get the stun down, and it could be traded back. The Everfrost is big. The Heartbreaker is good. Now Puff on the backside of this, but Karsa takes down Beishuan. Just with this Lulu, you can see just how hard it is to take down these health bars. And now, without a jungler, TT cannot contest this Drake.
Now, V5 able to find their moment to strike and get one back, and will get second dragon for themselves. But a bit messy from TT, not able to actually find the pick that they wanted beforehand. And when you're in that position, then V5's team fight is just going to be stronger if you're not able to find those picks.
That's a good turnaround here from V5. A lot more coordinated from them. They recognize how strong they were, and with the Lulu in tow, they just know they can do it. Again, like, Photic didn't lose any summoners, so have a look at this one here. It looks like they could maybe turn it around for TT, but this Kog'Maw-Lulu combination is too good, and that Keeper's Verdict was perfect.
Yeah, manages to completely separate the team. You can see Puff trying to do damage on the side, but he can't really get into these fights because you've always got the problem with Photic just being able to turn on him. Beishuan as well, just getting so much damage and harass put onto him. It's been a bit of a weird time from TT, honestly, in this game, where I'm kind of looking at like the decision making that I thought that they should have been making, and we're just not seeing it. And I think a little bit of it is coming from this build from UCAL. Like, the fact that you opt in towards like Cull, you also opt for the free magical footwear, so you're not able to go for the Ionian Boots of Lucidity. He's not having his ultimate up on time when he should, to try and make plays at objectives and look for picks beforehand.
Yeah, well, we're going to see the Ghost popped, which does force Rich into a little bit of a situation there, but they get the Destiny Gate out of the Twisted Fate, and like I said, having those boots delayed does put a little bit of a weird timing on TT's mid laner, and I like what they're trying to do, but it's just not quite coming up. And now with 2 dragons on the board for V5, they're very much set up for these big team fights, which they want. They want to be in a 5v5 because, again, they just plant down the Kog'Maw and he starts ripping through these health bars.
Yeah, and people are going to be like, oh, well, it's a bit weird that you're harping on about the boots, but for Twisted Fate, like, the whole, especially in a composition like this, the whole point is like you're trying to snowball the game out of control, right? And the best way you do that is through Destiny, trying to get in towards these side lanes, like make things really uncomfortable, especially when you look at V5's composition completely outscaling you by kind of nerfing yourself in that respect by not being able to get the early Ionian Boots of Lucidity, not really having a huge amount of other cooldown in your kit apart from the Kindle Gem and your Everfrost. Like, this is where you're starting to see that these ultimates have to work for UCAL. First one did well on the top side, but then not having access to it for the next dragon, not having access to it, or having that second gank in the top lane work out, these are actually going to really start to hurt TT.
Here we go now. They're going to try and maybe set up something in the bot side here for V5. But yeah, like I said, the boots not being available. You're not really at an item spike. Yes, you have the Gale Force here for the side of Puff, but with Photic having that Blade of the Ruined King already built up for himself, he's very, very happy just to try and kite this one out and take the advantages where he can. Rich is going to find Beishuan, though, on this top side. And that's already a lot of his health bar going down. The Heartbreaker is in. They don't have the Slicing Maelstrom just yet, but it does not matter. Beishuan hits him with the Ruined King, and that's going to be enough there for a bit of a pick in the top side.
And now they should be able to get some decent damage onto this top side turret as well. You have TP almost available for Xiaoshang as well, with the Unleashed teleport coming up and available as well. So now you have to be much more careful on this bottom side of the map. If you are trying to push up as V5, where maybe you end up with a TP cannon in behind you, but we just see it here, right? Wave gets pushed in. This is really nice from Beishuan, right? Realizes, look, Rich has only just come off a reset. He's going to push this wave back out. And they bait it out beautifully. Rich just takes that step too far, and they're able to get the pick.
Yeah, and again, when you're against things like the Cannon, like the Viego, your immunity ain't going to be so immune because they want to be on top of you at all times to try and put down that damage. So Now we start to see TT coming back to life a little bit.
I do think, though, if Rich had maybe angled the 5th shot, the 5 needles better, I think he might have had just enough healing to keep himself alive there. He ended up kind of angling it where I think it just hit Beishuan rather than hitting both Beishuan and Xiaoshang, but just a little unfortunate there, but still, nice job from TT. And now V5 are in the mid lane with Destiny coming through.
Destiny coming in, but they don't put it onto Photic. Instead, they look to try and take out Karsa, and that's exactly what they're going to do. You do have the ultimate coming out from Dream, but it's just not enough. And I love the fact that they just said, look, we know that you have full summoners, Photic. We're not going to waste our CC on you. We get a free target right here.
And here is the upside of the build that UCAL has gone for, right? Because you're getting so many free things and free gold into this build, it means he does have the very early rapid fire cannon and can look to make these picks when he does TP in. So nice job at least for TT to find those moments to actually push down V5 and get this pick, get the mid lane tower, and opening up the map to let UCAL look for even more.
30 seconds till Dragon spawns. We do see, though, Beishuan is already on a puff, though. May have to flash here if he's not careful. Does have a cleanse and should just be able to walk away. Oh, nearly got caught out there. Photic thought about it, but without flash and without cleanse, very difficult for him to be able to follow up on that. And as I say that, PP God gets caught out by the gold card and gets hit by the wild ones as well. Beishuan takes himself to Lulu as they try and push forward onto this one. Now they can see with the Keeper's Verdict to try and keep Karsa and the rest of his team alive. Karsa now jumping on the Beishuan, who has to try and get himself away, but he cannot. Karsa's back with a vengeance, has that Divine Sunderer, but this fight is still going, and this fight is never ending. And in the end, TT are the ones that come out on top.
And they're getting more and more gold back in their favor. 3,000 gold lead now for TT. And they're able to push over towards the Dragon as well. Interrupt the Dragon stacking that V5 had. And it was very messy and very scrappy with like 1 to 2 members of each team coming through. But honestly, that favors TT, right? Like they want these small isolated skirmishes. And you see it here, right? Puff, unfortunately, getting caught out. Doesn't end up falling though, thanks to the cleanse. But here, you've got Beishuan coming into the bush. I don't know why PP God face checks this. Like, that's just honestly a little bit daft. You end up giving over the kill. Beishuan quickly realizing though that it needs now a Lulu and needs to be afraid of damage. But it does mean that he actually goes that bit too far forward because this is still a 3v2. And Beishuan just doesn't have the damage to kill out Karsa quick enough.
Yeah, and Karsa goes a little bit too far forward. And like you said, UCAL finally online with this build. Finally got himself the boots, the rapid fire cannon, of course the Everfrost. He's just able to lock down someone for an absolute eternity. And with Dragon going over now, that's TT picking themselves up a nice little bit of extra resistances. Rich is in this bot side, but he's all alone, and you need to be very careful. There is a Destiny Gate available to the side of TT if they want to try and go for it, but Twisted Fate's a ways away at this point. Won't land the final needlework, and will have to try and dance and skip his way away from this potential fight as UCAL thinking about going a little bit further. Beishuan is here. They know there's a lot of cooldowns down now onto Rich. He gets slowed up. He's going to get stunned up as well. Has got the Merc Treads though, so the tenacity keeping him alive. While that was happening in the mid lane, the Culling used there to try and just dissuade anything from V5 and TT. They're being very competitive right now. The tidal wave just coerces them a little bit away. It's going to be the gold card. Oh my lord, the damage! You cannot sit there, Photic, and expect to survive, especially with the single target CC on TT.
Yeah, and everything was used already, right? Wall, growth, shields, everything to try and keep this Kog'Maw up. But unfortunately for V5, he's not left standing. Now that's the kills in mid, the terror bot. Like, TT are taking over this game, and I mean, it's off the back of a lot of really great plays coming through with UCAL understanding where he needs to be on the map, Beishuan as well, linking up well, and Puff and Setwin just chasing people down with this combo.
I mean, this is great from the side of TT, and we talked about how they want to try and take over this game. Yes, the Kog'Maw is scary, but if the Kog'Maw never gets a chance to plant his feet, he's not going to be that relevant, and that's exactly what TT are doing. Having the Nami to be able to have the bubbles, the tidal waves, and of course the Twisted Fate with his gold cards makes this so hard for Photic to play.
And the thing is that it's really hard for Dream to try and answer for a lot of these plays, right? Because you look at how UCAL is making these plays. It's not like he's going to a lane and then giving Dream the opportunity to try and match him, right? He's doing it off of reset. So he's very quickly kind of finding moments where, okay, the V5 actually aren't sure where I am, therefore I can make the plays. Now, it is helping that guys like Rich are overextended in side lanes when UCAL is missing off the map. Same when you look towards Photic and PP God going that bit too far forward after the play has been made on bot side. But you can still see that UCAL is like finding these really good windows where V5 don't actually know where he is off of the reset and getting the picks that they need.
All right, well, 2 minutes till Dragon spawns. Baron is live and on the cards. We are starting to see some movement coming out from V5 as they pop down the Rift Herald in the mid lane. That should be able to get its charge off, and they should be able to trade that turret, but it's going to be traded potentially in the top side. Xiaoshang in a little bit of trouble, flashes away. Rich will take a lot of damage from that turret, but the end of it all is just a flash for pressure in the bot side, a mid lane turret for top tier 1. And UCAL could keep going off of this. Again, he's got himself the Destiny Gate. He has a heal and a flash. He can pretty much go up against anybody, and no one's responded to him just yet.
And that's the thing, you know that they've already committed members to the bottom side here from V5, so TT go, right, let's push in this top side. Now UCAL actually starting to link up with TT in the mid lane as well. They can go towards either this mid lane turret with the numbers advantage they have, or just look to move into top.
He's going to be taken down to about half, just a little bit underneath his half HP, but now he's going to be waiting for the rest of his team to try and defend against this mid-tier 2. Puff is a little bit low. Got to be careful with that living artillery coming down from above as Photic is starting to ramp up those items. Finally got his wit's end now. Still hasn't got the Guinzoos or the Runans, but prioritizing the extra on-hit and magic damage that he's able to get, or magic resistance he's able to get from the wit's end. And now we start to wait to see what a minute till Dragon spawns. Do TT feel confident to take that fight?
To V5 though, because the quicker reset, have managed to get like Gwen pushing the bot side. UCAL really needs to back and he didn't, which is now why you got pressure coming in from Photic, because they were trying to see if they could maybe make a pick before this Dragon of 40 seconds, but I don't know if they're going to get a chance. Rich does need to be careful with how far extended he is on bot side though. I would have preferred to see him trying to link up with V5 in the mid lane instead.
Well, they're going to look for a TP in the bot side. That's going to be the Galio jumping in, but Rich is already taken so low, and he's dead to rights now. Galio, Dream, it's actually a nightmare because he's all by himself. He does land the taunt. He just needs to try and survive for as long as possible. There's the Zhonya's. It's going to land a little bit of extra time. He flashes and the Wild Growth is there. They will kill off Xiaoshang. And that's going to be this hop later's traded off. Now Photic, with no one really there to try and stop him, will keep pushing forward. But look at this Lucian, the damage, the cleanse is a little too early. He will stay alive, but these health bars are so low.
Yeah, now you're kind of waiting to see if Photic can heal up off this Blade of the Rune King, waiting on his W to come back up, but I mean, you end up getting the pick onto Xiaoshang for the pick onto Rich, and V5 are the ones that are in position to actually move over towards the Dragon. So all said and done, Dream with that ultimate kind of saving the play here for V5.
Yeah, it felt like it was a nightmare, but it was just a very lucid Dream. He was able to keep himself alive for so long. You can see the idea coming out here from V5. They just weren't expecting the pure damage to coming out, especially with the quick reactions from the Destiny.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, Rich going down here was a major mistake, but you can already see the TT can't get the play on towards Dream fast enough. They've already invested a lot of the damage that's here, and V5 are just able to rotate into position quicker because PP God has the Shurelya's Reverie rather than the Imperial Mandate that Southwind has picked up. And then Photic, this is the power of that Kog'Maw, right? Absolutely terrifying. And once his W is down, a little bit less scary, but still just enough to keep Puff at bay without anyone actually able to follow up with the damage to kill the Kog'Maw.
Well, it's a good start here for V5 to kind of bring themselves back into this game. And again, the longer this game goes on, the more relevant this Kog'Maw becomes. They will lose their tier 2 because they had a little bit of a late disengage or late reset coming out after they took the Dragon. They are on Mountain Soul Point though, and any extra resistances you can give to this Kog'Maw, the better. Any extra shielding, the better, as they kind of come into that mid-game now. We'll see the Force of Nature being picked up here by Beishuan as TT are kind of creating a little bit of a camp now in the blue side jungle of V5, and V5 need to be very careful of when and where they decide to try and put themselves or even just kind of face check.
Yeah, and that's why, like, for people like Rich, every time they try and push down in towards this bot side of the map, they have to be so careful of UCAL showing up, because UCAL at the moment is not showing on any wards. Like, look at him just sitting there in river. He's basically hovering back and forth between the two lanes, making sure that he can always threaten V5. And that's why Rich, you can see, right, not actually moving past his tower, always hugging there for safety. Same with Dream here, just trying to clear out waves, but keep towards the fog of war so we can't get caught.
As we come up now, 25 minutes onto the clock, we will see double 2 items pretty much for all major carries. You have got the Zhonya's now for UCAL, who's a very rich man and honestly has continuously kept himself relevant. 2-0 and 4 on this Twisted Fate, but we talked about it like, you know, earlier in the draft. You will just be relying on him to basically be a stun card bot. He needs to try and get Photic summoners out before they really engage for it. And I got to give props to Puff, who's really stepped forward to saying, look, I know when I can trade, I know when I can go in onto this Kog'Maw, but it is going to start to become harder and harder the longer the game goes on.
Yeah, I mean, especially if V5 managed to get this Mountain Soul, like, this Kog'Maw just becomes unkillable. And between everything and even the fact that he's going to start like building much more tanky now, once he gets the Guinsoo's Rage Blade completed, like this is where you're really going to start to struggle here as TT. But we'll have to see, because they've been doing a pretty good job of finding those picks and creating this gold lead, at least for the moment. It's just the dragon count is very much a worry for them at this stage. Even if Karsa just gets a steal, that could be just so much in favor of V5.
The perfect dragon for this Juggermaw comp. As TT now starting to feel the pinch of V5 wandering as a 5-man death ball. You can see the plan is to control the vision as best you possibly can. Dream steps forward a little bit too far outside the brush, and Puff, those Winds of War will still hurt you, buddy. You need to be very aware of the damage that can come out. Rich and Puff, very, very low at the moment, but we'll have the ebb and flow to try and keep him going. They are trying to go for something here as Rich will get the flash out of Yukal, but he can't get himself over the wall, and that's going to be Yukal maybe trying to get away. He actually just walks away from it with his life, but now the Lucian is dead. Xiaoshang jumping onto Rich, and Rich is just cutting through this team. There's nothing they can do. The damage is just not quite there to take him out, and V5 finally come alive in this game.
And now they can actually run over towards the Baron. You have a ton of damage that can come out from the squad, and I mean, I gotta laugh, Yukal kind of walking away from that one, but it's more so Rich going, I've got bigger fish to fry, because they take down the other members of TT, and now this is a big swing for V5.
I mean, massive momentum now going in. They were about 4,000 gold behind. They're going to be pretty much equal once this Baron buff is taken, and it just comes down to Rich saying, look, I have a Nashor's and a Riftmaker. I am stronger right now, and that failed flash from Yukal to try and get himself over the wall just really hindered him and the rest of his team.
Yukal just taking that step too far forward, not realizing that you actually had Rich waiting over the wall. But it does bait the rest of TT into a great spot here with Karsa. Flash into stun Puff against the wall. Xiaoshang tries to protect him with the ultimate, but there's just too much coming from V5. Rich already in a position to follow over the wall. And Photic then finishing off some of these kills.
Well, that's Baron now for V5 as they almost equal out the gold. Still about 1,000 gold behind, but that dragon is spawning. That is going to be Mountain Soul Point. You have to fight this as TT. You don't have a choice anymore.
Yeah, and you can already see they're trying to set up the vision control spot out where Xiaoshang is. Kar's actually going to find him here.
Oh, he doesn't know that he's there either, and with the steadfast presence, that's Xiaoshang dead. That is such a huge team fight, but ultimate no longer available now to the side of TT, with a TP coming out as well from the Gwen to try and just dissuade everybody else. You feel like this is all but done right now for TT. There's no way they can contest this, and even with the damage they had put down on the Photic, he's got himself a honey fruit. He keeps himself nice and topped up.
And that's the thing, Photic has cleanse and has the QSS as well. So anytime you try to get onto him, you got to do a double whammy of CC to try and hold him in place. It really is just so hard to deal with V5. Mountain Soul as well for the Kog'Maw. I mean, TT, it was a nice attempt, but now gold is even. V5 are in control, and they don't want to let this go.
No, they're not going to let this go. They've got themselves the Mountain Soul. They finally have themselves the gold leads. We see the picture-in-picture. It was just very unfortunate there for Xiaoshang. Just not quite catching the Poppy and just gets caught out himself.
And now V5 moved out onto the bottom side of the map. Xiaoshang and Southwind just out of position here. So Dream going to walk forward. Now the rest of TT will show up, but the inhibitor's already gone. Never mind.
Gone. Never mind.
It's gone.
Just
gone.
Got a little
gone.
life
Going.
left
Going.
in it.
Going. Gone. There it is.
They wanted to make sure they weren't throwing it away. You know, dot your I's, cross your T's, and now with Karsa having his flash, Hex Flash back over towards the side, realized Photic's going to need some buddies in order to keep himself alive and healthy. They will land the stun on the Photic, but he immediately cleanses that one away. They're trying to use that Slicing Maelstrom, but he's just not in a position to get onto this Kog'Maw. And you can see now Rich and Kog'Maw starting to shred through these people like they were absolute paper. This is just going to be so easy now for V5. They still have 30 seconds on this Baron power play, and it's going to be an easy way for them to end this game.
Yeah, I mean, they're just going to go for Karsa, running them down. The towers will fall. Kog'Maw standing proud. It took a while for us to get it, but there's the power of the late game.
The power of the late game and the power of V5. It was very shaky for them in the early stages of this game, but the power and the prowess of this squad came true. V5 will take themselves their first game victory of summer 2022.
And you can see there, looking pretty damn calm about what just occurred. It did look a little bit shaky in the mid-game where you had Yukal doing some nice stuff on the Twisted Fate, but again, you just needed a bit more of a buffer against the late game that had come through from from V5. We kind of talked about it coming into the draft, right? Like, once you got to the late game, you have the Galio is able to buy a ton of space for the Kog'Maw. Lulu's going to be able to protect her a whole heap as well. You even got Karsa there too with the steadfast presence. Like, there was just very few people that could actually touch this Kog'Maw unless Votik was willing to put himself into that harm's way. So just easy for V5 to continue that pressure, continue that momentum that they picked up from the Dragons and win the game.
Yeah, and again, I think it was just good moments from TT, but like you said, it kind of weird timings and certain things, weird aspects where maybe they could have pushed the envelope a little bit more, maybe gone for a little bit more of a risk, but sadly, when you sit back and relax and you wait for this Kog'Maw to get as big as he did, it was just so difficult, and he had so many options available to him, not excluding the Lulu in general, the QSS, the cleanse, the flash, just so many ways of keeping himself alive, let alone anyone else helping him out. Just impossible to get on top of him. And I think that's a pretty big kind of, statement as to why this Lulu Kog'Maw is so powerful right now, because even if you do have, so many answers to try and kill it, it's still going to be a Lulu Kog'Maw at the end of the game.
Yeah, I still think, to be fair, like, the Lucian and Nami should have had a better time against them in the bottom side of the map. Like, you definitely at level 3 have just so much damage that you can throw in, but always end up kind of launching themselves in towards the Whimsy, so not really able to kind of find themselves that momentum. But the unfortunate problem now is that you've actually had this Kog'Maw Lulu absolutely batter you, and now you got to try and figure out a different game plan if you want to for this ban phase, because you can't just let that through once more. You can see that the Lucian didn't, at least in the hands of TT, have much of an answer for it. So now you got to drop things like maybe an Ahri ban or something along those lines that you had banned away from Dream in the mid lane to see if you actually have an answer. But that's then 3 bans towards the bot lane that TT have got to throw.
Yeah, and I think that, again, like, TT had some good answers. They had some good opportunities. I don't think Dream had the best of starts, considering it's his debut within the LPL, but a win's a win, and we have a 100% win record now within the LPL as it stands right now. But again, there was some very uncharacteristic or very kind of, questionable moments there for the side of V5. I think Karsa and Dream getting caught out in that mid lane brush around Rift Herald was very strange. Rich having a very poor game, 1-3-2, just not really having an impact on this Gwen until right at the very end. These are things that, again, we don't want to be seeing from, again, what people would consider a top 4 team in the LPL. This is something that you would expect would be bread and butter for them, and that's going to be a bit of a slug for them to try and fix, before they come out to the end of the season.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see if they can. I think there's definitely some question marks there, but I don't think anyone who kind of looks at V5 coming into the split has ever said they're the cleanest team. I think they're just a very fun team and are very, very good with their mid-game decision-making, but we'll have to see if they can try and shore up those early games, because that is what cost them in spring.
Yeah, it really is. We're going to send it to a break, and when we return, we'll have picks and bans for Game 2 very, very shortly.